Hey everyone, Kevin in H-Town, wishing you well on this early spring day. There's a somewhat funny, somewhat sad article in the Daily Caller this week entitled, White Liberals Overtake Austin Neighborhood and Complain that the Minorities Are Too Masculine. And what this piece from the Caller goes on to describe is the gentrification of East Austin. More specifically, the arrival of Californians into East Austin, where new apartment blocks and new apartment buildings are being built. And if you're not familiar with Austin, East Austin is predominantly Latino. And so we're seeing beginnings of a culture clash in East Austin with newly arriving Californians and other woke liberals coming into East Austin, moving into these brand new apartment complexes, and immediately causing trouble with the residents of East Austin, who are predominantly Latino and Black. And the story highlights an example of these troubles by talking about one of East Austin's staples, which is semi-regular car shows in Chicano Park. Now, Chicano Park just happens to be across from one of these brand spanking new apartment complexes the Californians have moved into. And predictably, the folks in the new apartments have begun complaining about the Sunday car shows. The Californians and other woke liberals have allegedly said that these car shows are quote unquote scary and quote unquote a display of toxic masculinity. The article goes on to suggest that the new residents of East Austin view these car shows as some sort of security threat and perhaps even dangerous. Now, these car clubs have been meeting at Chicano Park since the early 1990s without incident. This is a very peaceful gathering of car enthusiasts, and it's something that's been going on for well over 20 years in Austin. The article quotes a local historian who's been in Austin for a long time as saying, quote, "I have to refrain from responding, 'Good Lord, don't you understand where you're living and what this once was? But it's too late now. The tsunami has arrived,'" unquote. And unfortunately, this is not something that is new in Austin. The arrival of the wokesters did not just start a few months ago. This actually started several years ago at the campus of the University of Texas. Now, a little bit of background on Austin, for those of you who aren't familiar with the city. Traditionally, Austin's been very unique within the state of Texas as a very liberal, very progressive center that is surrounded by a very conservative state of Texas. So you can think of Austin as a city full of hippies, and that city is surrounded by millions of rednecks with guns. And this kind of weird balance has existed in Texas for well over 50 years, and it works. It's kind of wonderful, actually. So traditionally, while other cities across the state and the nation have some sort of mixture of liberal and conservative, Austin has always had a mixture of liberal and libertarian. And the overall vibe of the city was, you do your thing, I'll do mine, and we'll all be cool. Unfortunately, though, with the arrival of the wokesters starting in around 2014 or 2015, things in Austin began to go downhill very quickly. That vibe of live and let live slowly began being replaced by, you'll do as I tell you. I spoke out against this trend of you do as I tell you back in 2015 when the wokesters were attempting to destroy history at the University of Texas. And unfortunately, this woke infection that took root at UT Austin has now spread into East Austin. And it is truly ruining the vibe of a once wonderful city. Unfortunately, The vibe of do what you want to do, you do your thing, I'll do mine, has now been replaced by militant wokeism and cancel culture. And it really is sad to see. It really is disturbing to watch this happen. That the infection of cancel culture has now spread from the University of Texas and has now migrated into East Austin. And it's just a shame. And when I spoke out against the cancel culture in 2015, I warned the administration of the University of Texas that this was going to happen. I warned that the cancel culture wasn't just going to stop with a few statues. Unfortunately, they chose not to listen. And unfortunately, what I predicted has come true. What started with statues on the campus of UT quickly evolved into trying to cancel the school spirit song, The Eyes of Texas. And now the cancel culture has metastasized like a cancer and moved from the campus of UT into the neighborhoods of East Austin. And who knows where it will stop from there. Probably one of the saddest developments in my lifetime, watching Austin, Texas sink underneath the waves of political correctness and cancel culture. I've attached this article to the description box below this video. Feel free to take a look for yourself. And I'll leave you with this thought. Back in my time in Austin, the catchphrase was "Keep Austin Weird." Unfortunately, with the arrival of woke liberalism and hordes of Californians into the city, the new catchphrase may well be, "Keep Austin alive." This is Kevin in H-Town wishing you well, saying God bless each and every one of you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.